Welcome back to Let's Play for Pottery. Using my regular built-in keyboard this time, because I can't be arsed setting up my USB one. Even though it looks cooler, it's just like what was even the point? Really, just like you can't see the cool keyboard, but I kind of like using it, you know. The only problem is that I was further away from the laptop because it's a USB keyboard, so it made it harder to see the writing because it's windowed, you know. That's one drawback to that. But anyways, it's been nearly a week, surprisingly. I've been recording almost every freaking day, but not for this. It's like yesterday I recorded part 4, 5, and 6 for Resident Evil 2. At long last, I set up the capture card that I was sent, and yeah, so it looks a lot better now. Now that I've got that out of the way, kind of thing, I'm just like, okay, now I feel like the flow has finally returned. Feel back in my element now that I've kind of like got things going, you know. I've like completed Spooky's House of Spooks. Just need to do the After LB talk and bonus parts at some point. But that one's completed, so I don't have to worry about that one. So all that's left is this one and Resident Evil 2. And the thing that was bugging me about Resident Evil 2 was my capture card looked like shit with it. So, you know, since setting up the capture card I was sent, it looks much better. So, problem solved there. So now I just kind of feel like, yeah, it's finally getting back to normal here. Anyways. So, where did we leave off again?
あれ？意外と埃っぽくないね、ベッド。本当だ。よかったね、ナオミ。とりあえず休みなよ。
Oh, yeah. Alright, man. Bloody, bloody, blah, 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 blah. You sit your ass down on that bed while she wonders if there's anything she can use. I've got a headache and a sore throat. It's like, I always think I've got a cold, but this time I'm pretty damn certain I got a cold. Passed on, you know. It's like, you know, when someone, like a family member has a cold, it's like inevitably it'll go around and everyone in the family will at one point have a cold. That's essentially what it feels like. This is happening here. Now it's my turn, and it's gonna suck. I just know it. It already sucks because, like, I usually have headaches half the time anyway, but, you know, combining that with a sore throat and just feeling there, that's actually pleasant, is it? Who cares? I kind of think about it. Ownage, and all that, you know, means big brother, obviously. But I've heard it also like, just like said, as Nissan, which is probably more of a kind of like, you know, less childlike way of saying it, I guess. And Yuka, despite being 14, freaking acts like she's freaking 4 years old. It's just ridiculous. So I think that's probably a thing. Like, if she was more mature, she'd probably just refer to her older brother as Nissan rather than Nissan. I don't know. It's kind of like the same with sister in a way, isn't it? Maybe like One-san, whatever the fuck you want to call it as, but you can just be ne. Or maybe the O actually just means big in this case, which it probably does. So I'm probably just completely pointless saying that. But maybe it's just like, I don't know. Maybe that really is just the way you just generally say big brother, big sister. The O probably stands for big, I imagine. I'm assuming here, so kind of like Just like, I don't know. It's like knee and nah, that's like, you know, brother is knee, sister is nah. And you just add the O to make it big brother, big sister. But just like, I don't know, I just confused myself with that. But the fact that she's using Chan, essentially, kind of like shows her maturity level, I guess, in that case. Because, like, if it was more mature, probably be Oni-san, you know? They got those kind of, you know, Chan is usually used, you know, kind of like, it's like if someone's like referring to someone who's like kind of young, and it's like, oh, Yuka-chan, essentially. They probably wouldn't say Yuka-san in that case, because maturity and all that, I know. Honfrix, I can't even pronounce the bloody word, but whatever I think they're called, confuse me. They really do. Anyways, let's get on with the bloody plot, shall we? And by plot, I mean skip the plot entirely. Look how weird Seiko's sprite looks there. And it's a shame I can't LP the PSP version. I mean, I probably could, but I'd have to use an emulator. I've never used a PSP emulator, so we make do with what we got here, you know, and that is the PC version. Which, like I said, I find it kind of funny. It's like there's all like, "Oh, PC Master Race, we have the best stuff." Except when it's console exclusives and the PC port ends up being shit. This isn't the case here, obviously. This is the original, but it's like, you usually don't see that where it's like, the console port ends up being, you know, better than the PC version. Unless, like, it's a console version exclusively and then port to the PC. Then it makes sense if the console version can be better than the PC version, because that does happen. But you don't really see it the other way around, though, do you, that often? I mean, this version's alright and all, but it's just lacking in that it doesn't have the consistent voice acting. The voice acting itself isn't as good as the PSP version. And the art style kind of looks a bit more budgety, I guess you could say. I mean, I think it looks alright for the most part anyway. But the PSP version clearly went all out with that, and they also got the game CG and shit like that. So there's a lot more detail in the PSP version than in this version. It's weird, isn't it? Anyways, we got the game over last time, the bad ending. So this time, we're gonna get the fuck out of here and get the other bad ending. Which means we have to go through the rest of the chapter to get to it, but we'll get it. Did you say Mina-san or something like that? That means everyone, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, I know Japanese, just not a ton of it, despite kind of on and off kind of studying it. Like, I did like a few courses at the college, but they were like online courses, more or less. So it's just like, it wasn't like, you know, like, oh, this is how sentence structure works or anything like that. Or it's just like, here's a set of phrases, write them down, essentially, and that's what I did. And it covered the alphabet as well, but it didn't cover like for example, it doesn't explain like hiragana and katakana and all that. It's just there in your face, and it's just like, hey, if you want to know what all this means, research it yourself. It's like, but I thought this course was supposed to be informative. Yeah, it's informative in that here's a shit ton of phrases, use them. Just like, we won't explain how the language actually works, though. It's the same, like, I'm learning Welsh the same way as well. And it's the same phrases and all that. And similar thing there, they don't really explain anything. It's just, here's a bunch of phrases, here's the alphabet, and good luck, essentially. It's like, I find Welsh about as confusing as Japanese in a way, because it doesn't follow the same sentence structure as English. And with Welsh, you got those freaking odds. What would they be called? I clearly can't remember shit about, like, you know, English As in, you know, like sentence structure. It's like, oh, you got your vowels, your nouns, verbs, adverbs, and all that. It's like I kind of get an idea about stuff like that, but I mean like syllables and all that. It's like, is it a syllable or vowel? I keep referring to it as syllable, so maybe it is. But like, you know, in Welsh you get some really odd ones like and it's just like it just has this weird sound. It's like please in Welsh uses an odd one. Os gwelwch chi'n dda. It's just like, what was that sound but there was like a syllable or wherever in the Welsh language, you know. It's really, it takes a bit of getting used to pronouncing that, you know, because it's a really weird one. And then you see two L's together, or maybe you could also see them two I's, and it has a kind of sound to it. It's really weird. And it's like if you see two D's next to each other as well, it's not actually a D, it's like a V, I think. It's like, actually, it's like, I know I'm supposed to be playing the game and all that, but fuck it. I'm gonna look at my notes and give you an example of what I mean about that. Okay, my room key, please, has both, really, in the first word, which is ashwev, or something like that. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because I can't remember the pronunciation. Ashwev, no. I remember this, it was just last week that I did this. Actually, let's have a look. Yeah, I read it out differently for my notes to make it easier for me on some of the other phrases that use that. It's like astavish. It's like astavish. Yeah, it's that kind of, but it's kind of subtle in that case. And the thing that's confusing about Welsh, if you've ever seen anything written in Welsh, you probably notice a lot of Y's, and you know, you just think, how the fuck do you pronounce that? And the Y is pronounced like an It's like it's not like a actual Y, essentially. Which makes it, you know, makes sense when you actually know about that, because it's just like, you wouldn't have a clue how to go about pronouncing a word if it's got a bunch of Y's in unusual places that make it look like, just like you've just tapped away at a keyboard and like, okay, there we go, gibberish. Anyways, let's actually continue. I can relate, Naomi, my head hurts too. Well, that's a shame. Is someone there? It sounds like bullshit. Oh no! Oh no, it's whatever will we do? Well, this time we're actually gonna try to escape. Last quantities of medicine and tonics are lined up on each of the shelves along with a single bottle of rubbing alcohol. I could take 1 or 2 bottles with me, but I'd probably just end up breaking them and cutting myself. Besides, I don't trust anything in here. Oh, god damn it, we have to do it this way, I forgot. We have to actually examine it first. Where did this hair come from? God help me. Try using a match to burn the hair. The flame wasn't strong enough to do any significant damage. Yeah, that's why you need to get the rubbing alcohol. But you have to do that first for her to realize it's needed. Take the bottle of rubbing alcohol. Yep, it's easy enough to dodge. At least, you know, it does it automatically, you know, with this. Douse the heads with rubbing alcohol. Unlike a certain other game, looking at you, Resident Evil 2, I mean, it does kind of do these things automatically sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. It's like you gotta select your inventory. After hastily splashing alcohol all along the edges of the door, Naomi lit a match in an attempt to burn through the seemingly endless strands of hair. With a sizable whoosh and a waft of foul-smelling heat, the hair lit up, then hardened and fell away, freeing the door and allowing it to open. Luckily, the shadow doesn't pursue you any further than that. You know what? It's just like this version and the PSP version and its not so great sequels. Just like if you enjoyed the sequels, good for you. But I just don't just like. What was it? Book of Shadows? I haven't played that one, but it seemed like very different as well. It seemed more focused on like. It's like it was nice that it was like giving all the characters more backstory and all that, but it took away from the horror because it wasn't really focusing on it for the most part. But at least that one had some kind of horror element to it. And like I keep bitching about Blood Drive, but it's true, man. It's like there was a spin-off like that essentially had like kind of comical kind of vibe to him, or like a horror comedy where everything's all like kind of, or like just for the lols kind of shit, you know, rather than being like, it was apparently like still had the kind of morbid, you know, death shit and all that, but it was played for laughs. I haven't actually played it, but I know of that game, and there were characters in it that were, for whatever fucking reason, I have no idea why, were added into Blood Drive, and these characters are fucking out of place and completely destroy any horror intention that can be built up. It's like the first chapter in Blood Drive. It's like probably the best chapter in the whole bloody thing, because you don't have those shitty characters and it just builds up tension slowly. It does a good job on it, and then it just fucking shits the bed in the following chapters and completely destroys the freaking atmos with these shitty characters that are all like, oh yeah, heavenly hosts, yeah, not a problem, rather than be like, oh, heavenly hosts is fucking terrifying. It's just like it completely ruins what the original created, and that's why I keep bitching about it. But anyways, what I was originally gonna say there is, I'm going to kill you. That wasn't what I was originally gonna say. What I was originally gonna say when like rambling on, like a sidetrack with my ramble there, was, you know, the voice acting process for this. Like, imagine that. It's like, okay, we're looking for people to voice act our characters. Just like, and we just like look at the script. What do you think? It's like, all I see is a bunch of wheezing, coughing, and crying. It's like, can you do that a lot? I suppose. Just like, well, you're hired then. Although in this version, I wonder if maybe the people who worked on the game also like just doubled it for voice acting as well. It's like, well, we're on a budget and we don't want to hire professional voice actors, so we'll do it ourselves. Maybe, I don't know. If they actually did hire voice actors, then they must have had limited record sessions for them either way, because the voice acting is inconsistent. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. In an utter panic, I began to run as fast as my feet would carry me. It's like in the PSP version, that would be voice acted, even though it's her in her thoughts, you know. But you know, on the upside, if I the LP in this one instead of that one, I couldn't actually do the reading instead. Otherwise, I'd be freaking just like rambling in between the dialogue, which I'm technically doing anyway. But that's the only time I'd get to ramble. I can ramble whenever the bloody hell I want. I was so out of sorts I didn't even know where I was running. I kept calling out Seiko's name over and over. When I regained my senses, I found myself standing in the third floor hallway.
Seiko! どこにいるの? Seiko! ねえ、一人にしないで!
Seiko? Is that you? Where'd my voice actor go? We're pretty much at the end of this chapter. I mean, really, this chapter went on longer than I was expecting, to be honest. I mean, it's only 5 chapters, but the other chapters are significantly longer. This is a short chapter in comparison. Oh. That is not a good thing. The store door is locked from the inside. Someone's definitely in there. Gee! You think? You know, when we eventually get this door open, there's like a CG in the PSP version. I know, like, I'm kind of ruining the mood here, but it's like, just like my microphone. Just like pointing out just how much the PSP version enhances it, because it has the CG and it really just like strikes you a lot more. Like, the sprites work telling the story and all that, but the added game CG in the PSP version really like complements and like adds more to what's actually going on in the game, because you see it more detailed and shit, and it looks horrifying kind of stuff, and it can also look cute, but it's mostly horrifying, and it's just like, it really adds to the atmosphere. But we don't really have those CGs in this version, which is a real shame. Oh wait, maybe that key we picked up freaking decades ago, I think. Maybe that was for the stall. Then again, why? I don't understand. It's...
Seiko!
Why? Why? No, no. Yeah! Yeah, I'm totally ruining the mood. Did you see that shit? That freaking voice acting came in before the freaking text bar. Sorry. What do I do? What do I do? The noose around Seiko's neck is attached directly to the ceiling, and there's nothing at her feet. All attempts to help are just strangling her further. I know what to do. We need something to stand on. There's a clump of unidentified meat inside the rusted bucket, completely crawling with maggots. I'd be able to use this as a footstool. It's like, I wonder if I was playing the PSP version, if like maybe this would be, well, probably be more intense, wouldn't it? Because game series. Ugh. And there'd be, you know, consistent voice acting as well, so I'd really be getting into the game a lot more and be like, oh shit, we gotta do something, rather than being kind of a bit casual about all this. Because it's just like, yeah, I know how this all plays out. But if it was the PSP version with the consistent voice acting and the CGs, I'd get more into it. But anyways, it's so revolting, but if it saves Seiko. A significant number of maggots have found their way onto Naomi's hands and skirts. Ooh. Quiet, filthy buckets. Oh shit. Seiko, I'm right here. The filthy bucket fell from Naomi's hands. Did you really have to put it in brackets? With blank eyes, Seiko swung back and forth slowly in her noose. All life had been completely drained from her face. See what I mean? It's just like, why couldn't you have whoever voice acted these characters? Why can't you voice act our whole scene? Why must you make me have to do the voice acting? I can't voice act this well enough for this kind of scene. Why would you hang yourself? You were smiling and laughing all this time. You said we'd find a way out of here together. Stop this. Don't leave me all by myself. Now it's back. Oh yeah, you voice act a sob and whimper, but not say something! See what I mean? It's really inconsistent. It bugs me. Uh-oh. Yeah. Child spirits, I can't move. And I can't even speak. It's like my voice actor's on vacation. I'm scared, I'm really scared. Like super duper scared. Somehow or another, Naomi found herself with a large pair of sewing scissors in her hand. Now these moments right here are like part of the defining things I think made the first Corpse Party a big hit. Like the PSP version obviously made it like super stardom, but shit like this, these bad ending descriptions, the ones in the sequels are just nothing compared to these ones. Her mouth was agape, and she was lowering the open scissors into it as if intending to swallow them whole. It's like, I don't think you had a CG for this or anything, but it's still freaking just like, ooh, oh, you know? It's really dark and disturbing, which the sequels don't really get, you know? It's like, they don't really like, I know. It's about as consistent as the voice acting in this version, you know? It's like they don't really commit to one thing. It's like they're constantly switching like the atmosphere. It's like one moment it'll be intense and then another moment not really at all. I mean, this game had it as well, but I don't know. It's just, you don't really get like endings like this that feel as impactful in, you know, say Blood Drive, as I mentioned about. Anyways, I should really just be paying attention to the scene. The little scissor blades hanging against my molars, and I can hear it too. What am I doing? Why would I try to swallow a pair of scissors? My hand's moving on its own. No, stop! Ah! Ooh. God. That sounded unpleasant, didn't it? That big splurt of blood. Game over. Chapter 1, wrong end 1 of 2. It's weird how it's 1 of 2, and the other one was 2 of 2, when the 2 of 2 one was the one you could get, you know, first, essentially. Because to get this ending, you have to complete the rest of the chapter. Handprints. Now we must play the game legit. Which means going to the other save file where we actually, because like that ending is influenced based on whether you read the newspaper thing in that one room. Wait, I clicked on this though, didn't I? Back her up. What? Did I load the right file or not? I can't even tell. Why the fuck did it, like, that confused me. I forget where we left off on the other save file, you know? Because on this one, we didn't actually like explore the rest of the building. I'm a bit confused on what we have to do. But yeah, you have to read the newspaper to get the normal ending. Because if you don't do that, well, then you get the bad ending for some reason. This is not the right area. Da la 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 la. Da, 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 da. There's a song that it reminds me of whenever I hear it. Is This Land by Sonata Arctica. And it has like a kind of vocal line which I think might also be melodic minor as well, but much like with this track, I don't know if it actually is using melodic minor or not, but it's this one vocal bit in the chorus where it goes, when others have your own. It has that similar sound, but it definitely sounds like you'd be missing a note in between. But it has that very similar feel to it, so I wonder if it's the same kind of thing going on there, you know? When others have your own. It doesn't have as many notes, but it definitely sounds kind of similar. Place the ball. Such tiny shoes. Backstory on Seiko. Go back a few parts and we'll get more info on that. When we went over this originally. Yeah, you bet. We'll make it out of this live shoulder. Everything will be peach key. Interruption of food. It's just like I didn't mention it at the start of this recording, but I was expecting chippy, you know, chip shop. We call it chippy here in the UK. Just like I don't know. It's like, do they even have that in say the US? You know, chip shops. It's so British that is, isn't it? Just like so, yeah. I got chips essentially. And much, it's like last time, man. I got an interruption last time for foods. Last time I recorded for this. It's just fitting that it happens again, you know? So, I'm gonna actually save the game, where it might not, just like, depending on how we are for time, essentially, will influence whether I actually, you know, continue on with the recording right now, or save for another time. So, let's check. Yeah, I'll have to wait for another time. Just like one part each for a bad ending, and then we'll get the true ending next time. So I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.